as time flies by, you'll open up your eyes wide. You feel it's gonna go your way. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. Hey, 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 it's a brand new day.
Welcome back to Marbella Now. My name is Nicole King, and this week it's Valentine's Week. So what could be more loving than having our program once again here at the pharmacy? We're in the Centro Comercial, the shopping centre El Capricho. It's a great place to come, and it's a great place to just hang out. Very relaxing, very warm, very loving, perfect whether you have a Valentine or you don't.
Let the feeling into your soul. Let it set you on your way. No need to hesitate. Time to make a change. There'll be no trouble tearing us apart.
Hey, hey.
I don't know even how to introduce this next guest. His name is Rob Partridge, so I'll start there. But he's also the other half to our Amanda Anstey, our Agony aunt, Amanda Silken. We've got many ways of referring to her, but I really don't know where to begin with this gentleman because he's been in the film industry for so many years. He's so ahead of everything we're doing, I'm kind of like, ah! So, firstly, thank you for coming to our humble Marbella Now and the beautiful The Pharmacy. It's nice to meet you, Rob.
Thank you very much, Nicole.
Clean after that. Thank you very much, Nicole. You are such an enigma, and there's so much I want to know, and so much for just starting with the movies you can't ask, because all the movies you're going to do we're not allowed to know. But I believe we can talk about some of the films you're involved with, but not just involved in the film industry, but you are specialised in the arms that they use in the film industry. So where did your expertise come from, Rob?
Well, it started a long, long time ago when I was very, very, very small. I just finished a postgrad at the University of the West of England, and I used to teach people to shoot whilst I was a student. I was a specialist at teaching sporting handguns. And whilst I was there, at the club I was teaching, a special effects supervisor who was working on a television series called Cat's Eyes for Television South in England said, we need an armourer, which is the film term for the person who looks after the weapons. And they asked me if I would help out, and I said, well, I'd be delighted to help out. I've been teaching for a while. I know nothing about the film industry, but I'm reasonably good at teaching. And I teamed up with someone who was a technical expert who knew how to do all the voodoo on the guns, all the engineering that needed doing, because the guns we use in movies are quite different to the guns that are used in real life to shoot people for obvious reasons. And I went onto my first ever film set in 1987 on Cat's Eyes in Southampton. And this was only a part-time job while I was going to get a proper job, and some 30 years later I'm still doing it.
Still looking for that proper job?
Still looking for that proper job, as you say, yeah.
But it's taken you all around the world into some amazingly interesting areas of the world that other people wouldn't ever get to see.
Yes, I mean, the furthest west I think I've ever been is to Panama, and the furthest east is to Thailand. So yes, I've been across the world, but at the end of the day the job is the same. All that changes is the environment. I mean, the most important thing we ever do is make sure no one gets hurt, and to make sure then that after that everything looks as the director wants it.
Is it difficult to work on a movie set with directors and them having this artistic view together with what's safely possible?
It varies each time. A very experienced director is easy to work with because they understand the constraints you're working with. If you've got a novice director, it's very difficult because sometimes they don't understand exactly what the implications are and the dangers involved. The easiest people to work with, of course, as directors are women, because you don't have any sort of testosterone-fueled nonsense. And
That's so refreshing to hear. Thank you so much.
They just treat you as a specialist technician and don't really care whether it's a Mark 6 or a Mark 5 or whether it's a big black one or a green one. They just want the gun to work and they want it to work safely.
It must be fascinating to go to so many different countries, and as I understand it, movies can take quite a while to make, therefore you could be on location for several months at a time. Do you get that opportunity to actually feel what it's like to live in that country when you're spending that significant amount of time abroad there?
Not really. As a rule, you're getting up at some sort of ridiculous time in the morning and you're getting back at some ridiculous time, and you're actually so involved in the film's sort of production itself that you don't get a chance to actually taste what's going on, and really it's just another car park in another country.
You seem to have so much knowledge about the cameras, the lighting, the sound checks. Does this just come from being around it all the time, or have you also branched into this speciality?
No, when I was a soldier, I worked in an area called media operations, which was the specialist area dealing with the press. So I used to look after the media on operations abroad.
Such as Iraq, I understand.
That's right.
When you say abroad, we're thinking, gosh, del Sol, I'm going abroad. But for you, in your speciality, in your line of work, it really has taken you into some very dangerous, challenging situations, I'm sure.
Well, by definition, they're dangerous and challenging, otherwise you wouldn't have the army going there. So I've been to the Balkans a couple of times. I did 2 tours in Kosovo, one in '99 and one in 2000. And then I served in Sierra Leone in 2001, and then on the combat operations in Iraq, what was called Operation Telek in 2003.
How do you stop yourself from looking at the rest of us mere mortals as so superficial and ridiculous with everything that you've seen in your travels, and as a military man?
I'm a mere mortal too, and I'm just as insignificant and ridiculous as anyone else, and so I'm not judgmental about anyone.
Because that would be, how can you not be when you've seen what you've seen? Because whether you're directly involved or not, when you're reporting on the horrors of our world, it has to change a person, and that is something that then to come to an area like Marbella with our, good thing we do charity events, but when you are in something as pleasurable and as privileged as the area we live in, it must be a constant reminder of how pleasant and privileged we really are.
Well, it's lovely. I mean, I love Marbella. I mean, we've settled here and we live here 6 months of the year, and we have done for the last 10 years. So I love it very much. I don't look down on anyone else simply because I've had certain experiences and it would be terrible to do so. But yes, you do think about other things.
Makes you more, exactly, hashtag better together. And this is how we met Rob, is because you are the other half of, as I said, of Amanda, our Agony aunt. What's it like living with such an, I'm going to say amazing, but the feedback from Amanda on the programme is wonderful. Just the feel of having Amanda next to you, can feel that she is something very special, and I believe that she travels with you and is even now, we've seen a shooting with AK-47 or something there with a machine gun.
That's right, yes. Well, Amanda first came out with me on a movie called The Sweeney, which I made in the UK in 2012, and she liked it very much, and then she said, oh, this is interesting. I said, oh, good. And so when I then went out on another couple of jobs, one was Doctor Who. She enjoyed that. And then I went to Jordan to do a movie called Sandcastle about the Iraq War, and Amanda came out with me for the whole time, and we were there sort of about 12 weeks. Which was great, and she really got the bug. And so when we were asked to do a Private War, which is the movie I've just finished on, she came out as part of the team proper rather than just as Mrs. P, which was great, and she was very, very helpful and very knowledgeable by the end of it. In fact, she's queen of the Kalashnikov, I think.
Well, and I know that she also enjoys meeting those actors and movie stars, getting the full experience.
Yes, well, Amanda has a fantastic capacity for alcohol, and so she was met with a challenge by Jamie Dullen, who normally is in 50 Shades of Grey, and there's pictures of her, which will appear no doubt on social media when it's allowed, sitting in a bar doing shots in Amman in Jordan.
Just showing him exactly.
Yes.
Women a la frente.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it's really lovely to meet you. How did you meet Amanda?
I met Amanda when I was working for a security company that I started I started the company back in 2001, and I met Amanda in a bar in Covent Garden in London.
So it's a good thing she's a good drinker, otherwise you might never have met. She wasn't
absolutely,
in the bar.
absolutely, yeah.
A lovely area, Covent Garden.
It's beautiful.
One of the few things that I say when you go back home, it's a places to pop in and pay a visit to. So you've settled here half the time you say here in Marbella. Where do you guys go to the rest of the year?
Well, usually we're working, or we're back into Devon, which is where I'm from originally. I'm from North Devon, a little town called Barnstable on the north coast.
I have family in Devon as well.
They are small worlds.
It is a small world. That's the lovely thing. And Marbella is an even smaller world. And the nicest thing is that when we meet people, we get to meet then the people they know. In this case, Amanda's other half, Mr. P.
Mr. P.
Mr. P. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
You're very welcome.
I don't
Nicole.
ask him anything else because half of the things he does is top secret. I'll say no more. So when I know a bit more about Rob, off air, we'll be able to bring him back on again, and then I'll be able to ask you more things.
You're very welcome,
The
Nicole.
parameters I'm allowed to actually touch on. Scared to ask him anything. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And as time flies by, you'll open up your eyes wide.
Hello, I'm Rowan Litchfield from Laude San Pedro. Last week's sign was go for a run. One more time, go for a run. This week's sign is keep fit together. One more time, keep fit together.
And it's gonna go your way. Hey, hey, it's a brand new.
Yeah, I'm here in Marbella, but it says here I'm in La Canada.
If you haven't mastered the lingo, don't worry. Linear Director has a free GPS geolocator service that will come and find you.
Hello Marbella, Amanda from Silken here again, brought to you by Marbella Now and Nicole King to help look at Marbella's problems and hopefully solve them and make life easier for everybody. We're looking this week at Sylvia's problem. Now it's related in a way to some of the stuff we've been talking about recently about addictive compulsive behaviour. Now Sylvia's contacted me and she has a compulsion to eat. Even when she's not hungry, she eats. She's slightly overweight, but not very overweight. She's in a relationship, in her 40s, she's happy. Well, sort of happy. When she's depressed or down, or when she's had an argument with somebody, or she's not feeling too good, she eats. She comforts eats. And I think a lot of us have done that at some point in our life. Come on, we've all been depressed and sort of opened a box of chocolates and had the tissue, etc., etc. But for Sylvia, the problem is getting worse and worse and worse. And she's putting on more weight, and the more weight she puts on, the worse she feels about herself, the more she eats. And it's become a compulsion. And I think this problem is something that's related to larger aspects. It isn't just about she's hungry and she's eating, because she's not. She's eating for comfort, and she's eating to feel some sort of internal emptiness, emotional emptiness. Not an emptiness of the body, but an emptiness of the spirit and the mind and the emotions. So this was something that I feel that possibly she needs very specific professional help with. So I've asked her to go and visit her doctor first and talk to her doctor about this, and possibly get an appointment with a food counsellor, somebody who specialises in things like this. Because this sort of problem can turn on to something much worse. Bulimia, for example. There's been a couple of occasions where she's eaten so much that she's made herself sick afterwards, and that's really not healthy. She's also eating in the middle of the night when she can't sleep. She goes upstairs, goes to the fridge and starts eating. And that's not healthy either. It's the worst time to eat. But also it's a time when you're most alone. In the middle of the night, husband's asleep, everyone else is asleep, you feel alone, it's dark, she goes and eats for comfort. And she's doing this more and more. So I think Sylvia has a real problem that needs to be addressed. And lots of us have got problems about food and around the issues of eating, especially living somewhere like Marbella, which is full of very, very beautiful, very, very fit people. So I think she needs to address this problem medically first, and then go on and look at examining her feelings and why she does this. She realises that she does it not because she's hungry, but because she needs comfort. And she says sometimes she eats and eats and eats and then bursts into tears. Now that's not good. And I feel very much for Sylvia as someone who has had issues with food and eating myself. I think we've all had issues with food and weight and what we feel about ourselves. And this is all part of the loving yourself the way you are as well. Okay, now what I'd also like to talk about is some of the responses I got to questions of other addictive behaviours that we've been talking about on previous episodes. And I've had some quite interesting responses to problems that have been put up. For example, the lady who stole from her friend, Hayley, whose friend was stealing from her house, we've had a divided opinion on that. Some people are saying, never ever speak to her again. And some people are saying confront her in a non-confrontational manner, as in a non-aggressive manner, and ask her why she's doing this. It depends how much she values the friendship. But it was very divided, and people are actually saying if somebody did that to me, I'd never speak to them again, which I can understand in a way, but I don't think that's the right path. I think Hayley needs to speak to her friend and sort that issue out. As with Sylvia, these compulsive behaviours are deep-rooted. They're not actually about what's happening. Someone's not stealing because they need things. Sylvia's not eating because she needs to eat. It's all about an inner emptiness, an inner loss of something, an inner problem that needs to be solved, and therefore she needs to get help. So if you have any problems like that, any issues about addictive behaviour, compulsive behaviour, please contact us. Because we also had the lady that couldn't stop herself picking things up in shops and putting them in her handbag. Now again, that's a very, very dangerous behaviour pattern. She could end up getting arrested, getting a criminal record. And these compulsive behaviours aren't healthy at all, emotionally or in any other way. So if you are suffering from any sort of behaviour like that, any sort of addictive, compulsive behaviour, please contact someone. You can contact me at Silken and I can deal with that problem for you, or go to your doctor, ask your doctor for a counsellor, but do something about it. Never, never just ignore the problem, because it won't go away. We need to sort this out because we want Marbella to be full of happy, healthy, contented people. And unless we deal with our issues, we're not going to get that. Okay, so please, any more responses, send in, tell us what you think. And thank you very much, Marbella.
We hope you enjoyed today's programme, that you will have yourselves a lovely evening, that you will take care of yourselves, and you will be nice to each other. We will see you again tomorrow here on Marbella Now. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye for now.
And it's time